This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 51 of the Wisdom by WESA show on the Horse Radio Network. This is Mike Donnell.
I'm Casey Wilbanks-Coletti.
And this is Sophia Aguilar. Welcome to Wisdom by WESA on the Horse Radio Network.
This podcast is brought to you by the Western and English Sales Association, WESA, which provides the world's largest trade events for retailers, manufacturers, and sales representatives of the equestrian industry. In this podcast, we feature exclusive interviews with noteworthy Western and English personalities, retailers, and exhibitors who you've always wanted to talk to. Don't miss out on all the news for manufacturers and retailers in the equine industry. The exhibitor contract deadline has just expired. Sophia's here with us today, and I was just wondering, are you able to share with us how many exhibitor contracts were received?
Yes, so the deadline has just passed, but we are currently entering and proofing all the contracts that we have gotten. And so far, the turnout has been great. Our members are honestly just really excited just to meet with the Western and English industry again and just be in one spot. And that spot is, of course, the WESA trade show now at the DMC. And as you know, our slogan is where the industry meets. So everyone is just really looking forward to meeting again after such a hard time that we've all gone through or are still going through.
Yes, absolutely. I think we can all say that it's still a struggle as we continue to navigate through the COVID-19 pandemic. Was that a topic of discussion with your members when signing up for the next show?
Yes, just a few times, but especially when members are trying to justify to their companies why they still want to exhibit and why they still want to be there at the DMC next year. And like I said, it's honestly not been a big issue just because January 2021 is so far away. And there have been shows already that have been successful. There was one just last week at the DMC. But we did have a board meeting last weekend, and I can just share with everyone now that we did get the info that if Dallas County is saying that we can have the show, everyone will be reimbursed. So there's no issue with that. And of course, we are hoping that everything will go as planned and that we can have our first debut at the DMC in Dallas, Texas in 2021.
As always, thank you for the information, and on to our great guests for today's show.
In the mid-1990s, two equine veterinarians began working on a product that would improve the breathing of horses during competition. The resulting product, FLAIR Strips, were introduced to the thoroughbred racing world at the 1999 Breeders' Cup races and to the show horse world the next year at the 2000 Olympics. The efficacy of the product has been documented through clinical studies proving that this product makes breathing easier, reduces fatigue, conserves energy, quickens recovery, and decreases lung bleeding. Today, FLAIR Strips can be found in almost every equine sport throughout the world. And we welcome the company's marketing director, Hannah Hartman, to the show to tell us the larger story. Hannah Hartman, welcome to the Wisdom by WESA show.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's great to join you today.
Well, we're going to have a good time talking about your product. As you know, I'm the marketing guy on the show. Casey has a lot of different talents. She's also a barrel racer and understands it from the horse owner's perspective. Tell us a little bit. In my introduction, I talked about a little bit of when the product got started and how penetrating it has been in the horse industry. But talk a little bit about the product, and then we're going to talk about the various ways you're going to market and the various markets around the world that you are dealing with.
That sounds great. FLAIR Strips made their debut at the 1999 Breeders' Cup and have been on horses and horse racing ever since. The product then debuted at the Summer Olympics in 2000 in the 3-day eventing discipline and started picking up momentum in the barrel racing world around 2008, 2009. So FLAIR Strips are designed to support the soft tissue that overlays the nasal passage on the horse's nose to make breathing easier, because as horses inhale while they're breathing heavy and working hard, the soft tissue that's not supported by bone in that area collapses and gets sucked in, and that reduces the diameter of the size of the airway the air is flowing through to get down into the lungs. So by supporting the soft tissues in that area of the airway, it makes breathing easier for horses by reducing resistance to airflow.
Well, that sounds interesting. And as we were talking, I think maybe with the exception of bucking stock, horses in virtually every equine competition, there are some horses, some owners, some trainers who have realized and accepted the value of the product. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes. So as you attend show jumping events, you may start to notice more FLAIR strips on horses during show jumping. And that's because as a horse jumps, it holds its breath. And so by using a FLAIR strip, it makes it easier to take in that breath of air as the horse is approaching that jump. So we're seeing an increase in use in that discipline. We have a steer wrestler that you may see out in the rodeo world wearing FLAIR strips that finds particular benefits for his team of horses because the strips help to reduce fatigue and conserve energy. And he notices his horses feel more fresh during multiple goes in that sport. And he's just been increasing in use in a variety of disciplines.
Well, and something else that I thought of, and I live in Southern Colorado, and I'm sure that you guys have heard of the wildfires that we have, unfortunately, right now. And when I left to go to a barrel race on Saturday, the air quality was absolutely horrible. And so you think about a horse not only competing in that, but also traveling in the trailer through that, there and back, exerting energy. And it's funny that today is the interview with you, because that's exactly what came to my mind that day is I should have some of those on hand.
Yes. We hear a lot from riders that, are unfortunately in areas that are affected by wildfires with different weather conditions going on, or that are hauling from one climate to another for competitions. By making breathing easier for the horse while they're in the trailer or during the conditioning rides at home, just helps the respiratory health of the equine athletes.
I got a question. Can you use them? Can you leave them on the horse, or can you only use them once? I mean, your recommendations. Can you use them on the horse and then you have to take it off and put another one on, or can you leave it on? Let's say if you're working the horse in the morning, working again in the afternoon in your pen, whatever. What's what's your thoughts on that, or what's the company's recommendations on that?
So FLAIR strips are designed to stick to the horse's hair, but they don't rip hair off the nose. And so once the strip has been applied, you can take the strip off and it won't leave a bald spot on the horse's nose, but the adhesive will not re-stick to the hair again. So FLAIR strips are a single-use product. And once you apply them and take them off, the FLAIR strip won't stick again. So you'll need a new one.
Okay, and so I'll show my ignorance again. If I haven't ever purchased them, what quantities do they come in? They come in boxes, or what am I looking at? If I go to the store or I order them online, I go to the tack shop. What kind of quantities are they made available in? And for the pros, for example, or someone like Casey who may be running a couple of times a month and practicing, how many would you need over a course of time?
FLAIR strips are packaged as single packs or as 6-packs. So you can purchase them as one FLAIR strip in a package or a pack with 6 FLAIR strips. So if you're using them quite often, like Casey may be at home during intensive exercise sessions, and then for multiple barrel race runs on a weekend, customers typically purchase the 6-pack of FLAIR strips.
And there is any color that you might want, Mike. I noticed, but very cool. I mean, you have the classic colors, but then also there's a limited edition section. And what's really neat, you can also customize your own. And I'm guessing you can, or maybe you could tell us some of the things people have put on it, but maybe names or brands or.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things we keep hearing more and more from riders is, can you come out with this color? Will you make this color to match my boots, or my polo wraps, or my blanket, my favorite shirt? And so when the product first debuted in 1999, black was the only color that FLAIR Strips came in. And then in the mid-2000s, we had a change in our supply side process. And for a number of years, white was the only color that FLAIR Strips came in. And then we brought back black. So FLAIR Strips were available in white and black in 2015. And then we started adding colors with pink and turquoise. The last few years, we've added more colors to our product line. We've got purple, brown, blue, what am I missing? Purple, pink, brown, blue, orange. And then our limited edition prints, we've got a flag series. So we've got a USA flag. Brand new this year is a Mexico flag FLAIR strip, Canada flag FLAIR strip. We've got a UK flag and an Ireland flag FLAIR strip as well. So we were pushing for more flag strips with the Olympics that were set to take place this year, but now we're well stocked and prepared, and hopefully we'll add more flags to our FLAIR strip line for 2021. And our limited edition prints, we've come out this summer with a FLAIR strip that looks like a leather patch with a turquoise cross on it. And barrel racers and rodeo, our rodeo customers are really liking that strip quite a bit. And our custom strip program is available for people that would like to do their own to match their outfit or do some fun prints. One of our customers that's a retailer recently did a serape blanket type of print, and that's beautiful. Trainers sometimes do their logos on it. So kind of sky's the limit with creativity.
Well, and I'm kind of thinking out of the box, and it's probably already been done, but I think Michael liked this idea too. I think it'd be a great place for a sponsor to put their logo. I mean, they run out of places on your shirt and things like that. So that's kind of one of the first things I thought of.
Yes. Yep. And we do have some of our marketing partners that have logoed their FLAIR strips or FLAIR strips as well for promotional use. We've got a line of limited edition strips that we are getting ready to debut that have a breast cancer awareness focus and a childhood cancer awareness focus, where a portion of the proceeds of sales of those strips will be donated to charitable organizations as well.
Okay, let me switch one. I think you clearly established, and I believe that FLAIR strips are now a fashion item. And regardless of your horse's preference or your preference, you can get them. But let's go back for a moment, because the core reason this product exists, the core reason that people use it, I know there have been lots of tests, clinicians, whatever. Can you summarize again just a little bit about the amount of testing or the style of testing that this product has been through, so that I can be assured that while it may be attractive, I'm really getting the competitive benefit and my horse is getting the health benefit?
Yes, so FLAIR strips have been clinically proven to make breathing easier, to reduce fatigue. Through university studies, they've shown that horses that have FLAIR strips on take longer before they hit a fatigue point than a horse that does not have a FLAIR strip on. University testing has shown that by making breathing easier, horses do indeed conserve energy. Horses wearing FLAIR strips have been shown to use 5 to 6% less energy than the horses that did not have a FLAIR strip on. FLAIR strips play a really great role to help with the recovery process in horses post-intensive exercise. So horses wearing FLAIR strips recover quicker. They cool out faster. One of the university studies showed that on thoroughbred race horses, those that had FLAIR strips on had shorter race-to-race intervals than the horses that did not have FLAIR strips on. They help immediately following exercise by leaving the FLAIR strip on while a horse is cooling out, as a horse is bringing that cool air into their lungs to cool their body temperature down post a run or post whatever type of intensive exercise they did. Wearing a FLAIR strip makes taking in that cool air easier and less laborsome for the horse. So it helps in that immediate post-exercise recovery phase. And 5 out of the 8 clinical studies done on the product have focused on EIPH, otherwise known as exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage or lung bleeding in thoroughbred racehorses, showing that horses wearing FLAIR strips had a reduced levels of lung bleeding deep down into their lungs. So the studies have shown that by making breathing easier, reducing airway resistance at the nasal passages where FLAIR strips support those soft tissues, specifically at the nasal passages, there's the narrowest part of the upper airway called the nasal valve. By supporting that soft tissue so that the nasal valve, the narrowest part of the horse's airway, does not become even more narrow and thereby increasing resistance to flow, that helps to reduce the pressure pulling deep down into the lungs on the pulmonary capillary membrane, so on the airway side of the blood vessels.
I think you've gone through this before, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, let's switch gears again, can we? I believe it's a fashion statement. I believe it is a health enhancement for the horse. But let's see how you buy and sell some. If I am a horse owner and I have not used them, where am I going to just buy them from you online, or where am I likely to find them? And that is a question both for horse owners here and horse owners around the world.
Yes, so from our office in Delano, Minnesota, FLAIR strips are manufactured in Minnesota. Everything comes to our warehouse shelves in Delano, Minnesota. And from here, they hit the mail trucks to go out to customers locally, and then customers in New Zealand, Australia, Chile, the Middle East, the UK. We ship everywhere around the world, and we have a multi-channel distribution system. So customers can purchase directly online through us if they're located within the United States. They can go to our website and find our retailer locator to research the tack shops near them that carry FLAIR strips. So we sell to tack shops and help promote where the customer can buy locally. And if the local tack shop has a website, we list that on our retailer locator as well, especially as we know with recent conditions that more people may be shopping online. So we try to make sure we have the websites for our retailers listed as well. And we sell through to distributors where tack shops can purchase the product from. If they're already purchasing product from that distributor, they can add FLAIR strips to their retail stock order as well. And we sell direct to veterinarians. So customers can inquire with their vets as well to purchase FLAIR strips.
So if I am a veterinarian, I'm a tack shop, I don't yet carry your product, how do I become part of your distribution chain?
So we've got a form on our website, a contact us form that we can submit an inquiry to, and our office will follow up, or can send an email to sales@flairstrips.com, or give us a call at 888-68-FLAIR, and we'd be happy to work with them to send a retailer application or a list of our distributors that they can contact to stock FLAIR strips in their shop.
Okay, I'd like to throw this back to Casey again. She's got the horse owners and competition perspective, and just have her add her thoughts in terms of someone who has trained horses, has competed at all levels, is going to still continue to compete. Casey, what are your thoughts about how this product is going to help horse owners and help the horse world?
Well, I'm a firm believer in anything you can do to help the horse and stay one step ahead of any problems that may occur. The further ahead you are in the grand scheme of things. The unique thing about horses is, obviously they can't talk, but they do talk. They do tell you what's wrong. They try to, but as you were just talking about, Hannah, with the bleeding, that's something very prominent. We see that a lot in, say, barrel horses, and it doesn't necessarily. It's not something we can always tell that's happening. It can be internal bleeding, and I can see the benefit of this, not just for poor air quality, but in preventing any problems that may occur before they happen. And I think that's really important. Anything that we can do for the performance horse is certainly worth doing, and it'll cost you less money in the long run, I guess is what I'm saying, is if you put, everything forward from the get-go. But before we let you go, I also want to just talk just for a brief moment, your relationship with WESA and having your products at WESA, meeting retailers that are buying your products. Maybe just a quick rundown of somebody that's interested in selling your product, but maybe doesn't have a lot of knowledge. They're at the WESA trade show. How do you approach a retailer and give them a quick learning experience on your product?
Sure. So we started exhibiting at the show in 2019 and found it to be a great way to form those personal relationships with our retailers. One of the first questions that we ask the retailers are, what type of customers do you have in your shop? And then try to help them understand how the product works and then how they can communicate to their customers the benefits based on what type of discipline a lot of their customers may be riding in. And so for barrel racing, it may be, for that sport where 1/100th of a second is the difference sometimes between money and not, to understand the relationship between breathing and stride and how a horse takes one breath for every stride. And so anything that impairs breathing can impair stride and vice versa, and how wearing a FLAIR strip can help the horse stride out more easily, and for the lung health. And so we usually have a horse skull with us that travels to trade shows, and we can kind of show where to position the strip on the horse's nose and let the retailers know that if they have a customer account with us, we send them and provide education materials and videos that they can post about the product. One of the key pieces of information that we try to make retailers aware of is our video on how to properly apply a FLAIR strip, so that if a customer purchases a FLAIR strip, they have a successful experience with using that product for the first time and getting it to stick well to the horse's nose. We let retailers know we have a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. So if a customer purchases a FLAIR strip and takes it home, and even if the customer puts it on wrong, puts it on upside down, does something where it doesn't stick well to the horse's nose, we will replace the strip for that customer. Either the retailer can give the customer a new strip and let us know, and we'll replace that. But then we also are happy to follow up with the customer to offer any FLAIR strip tips. And so we let our customers know that our retailers know we're there to support them. We provide complimentary sales materials such as a point of sale display, especially now where some retailers may be offering curbside pickups. We let them know we have banners available. We'll send them in case it's helpful to hang one up outside their storefront to let their customers know they sell FLAIR strips. So we try to approach the customer, our retailers, ask them what kind of customers they're selling to, try to give them some track tips of what we've gotten feedback from customers in that discipline. And then also for customers that have been selling FLAIR strips, ask them if there are new colors they would like to see and what their customers are demanding. So we really enjoy our time exhibiting at WESA, forming those personal relationships, getting feedback on the product so that we can continue to put colors out there that their customers are demanding and learn how the product is working for them.
And I can add a personal note. Actually, Hannah and I first met at a WESA show.
That's right.
That's when we first got together, and she taught me about FLAIR strips, and so I was just tickled pink that we were going to have a chance to get her on the show. Hannah, you've done a great job representing the company, representing the brand, and it's been a joy talking with you. And we thank you so much for being on the Wisdom by WESA show.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation today.
The show notes and links from today's show can be found at the website wisdombywesa.com. And as always, we'd love to hear your feedback. There's a contact link on that website.
The Wisdom by WESA show will be published on the 15th and 30th of every month. You can listen on most of your favorite podcast players, and you can also listen on the Horse Radio Network app on your iOS or Android phone. You just search Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's super easy to use. Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom by WESA podcast. WESA, where the industry meets.